Story number 1, the knock at the door. You ever look back at a moment and wonder, what if? What if she hadn't answered the door? What if Rob had stayed? What if anyone had seen it coming? I was 12 when it happened. I had just moved in with my dad. New house, new town. I didn't know a soul, except for one family, my dad's friends. A single mom with 3 kids. One of them, a girl a couple years older than me, was the closest thing I had to a friend. We weren't that close, but we shared the same group, the same places, the same streets. And soon, the same nightmare. It happened one cold December night, just a week before Christmas. She was home alone with her younger brother. Their mom was at work. She worked late a lot, always helping people. One woman in particular had gotten close to her. A woman with a troubled sister. A sister who had been locked away in a mental institution. And recently, let out. That night, my friend and her brother were just hanging out with our mutual friend Rob. Nothing unusual, just kids killing time. Then there was a knock. She didn't even think. Her mom always knocked a certain way before coming in. This knock? It sounded like hers. She opened the door. Rob wasn't supposed to be there, so the second she turned the knob, he bolted. Out the window, down the street, straight to his house. He never even looked back. Maybe if he had, he would have seen. It wasn't her mom. It was her, the sister. She had found out where the family lived, memorized the mom's schedule, and waited for the right moment. She walked inside, shut the door behind her, and then, I don't know. I don't know what happened next. I don't want to know. Her younger brother got away. He ran to the neighbors, shaking, screaming, begging them to call 911. By the time the cops arrived, the house was silent. My friend was gone, her body, naked, lifeless, brutalized, left in the bathtub, her head, gone. They searched everywhere, the house, the backyard, the Christmas presents under the tree, and somewhere in that house, they found it. I wasn't allowed at the funeral. Maybe my parents thought it would break me. Maybe they were right, but to this day, I can't hear an unexpected knock at the door without my heart stopping. Story number 2, the knocks in the dark, the late 80s, small Texas town. Everyone knows everyone. Or so we thought. I was 6, maybe 7. My sister, 14. It was just the 2 of us that night, home alone like always when our parents were out. Winter nights in the desert, pitch black, freezing, silent, except for the TV. We were watching one of those true crime shows, hard-hitting, gritty, full of blood and fear. That night's story? A quiet neighbor goes on a rampage, slaughters a family, kidnaps a child. I remember how my sister sat hugging a pillow, how the only light in the room came from the TV and the dim kitchen down the hall, how outside the huge glass windows behind us beyond the back door was nothing but darkness, and then, bam, 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 the front door exploded with sound. We screamed, then, silence. Not a rustle, not a footstep, nothing. Just the 2 of us staring at the door, our hearts pounding so hard we could barely breathe. Maybe it was the wind. Yeah, had to be. We had a few things on the porch, a rocking chair, some planters, maybe something just tipped over. Minutes passed. Just when we started to calm down, just when we were about to convince ourselves it was nothing. The storm door creaked shut. Someone had been there. Someone had opened that door. Someone was standing on the other side of the front door. We were frozen, trapped in our own home. My sister, shaking, crawled to the TV and turned it off. Thunk! The sound echoed through the silence. I turned, and that's when I saw it. The back door handle, turning, slowly, testing, locked but not deadbolted. I held my breath, then BAM! 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 The whole wall of windows shook. Someone was slamming against the door, rattling the handle so hard the glass vibrated. With each slam, my own reflection flickered in and out of focus. Fuzzy. Clear. Fuzzy. My sister snapped. She grabbed me, dragging me to her room, throwing everything she could in front of the door. Her mattress, her dresser, anything heavy enough to block the way. She had the phone. She hit redial. She couldn't even remember the sheriff's number in her panic. It was one of her friends. Someone's trying to get in! Get here! Now! We didn't move, we didn't breathe, and then, nothing. No more knocking, no rattling, no footsteps. Only the sound of our own ragged breathing in the dark. Minutes passed. Then headlights cut through the night, her friend and their parents pulling into the driveway. By the time they checked, whoever had been there was gone. No footprints, no broken windows, no forced locks, just a few scuff marks at the bottom of the back door. Had they always been there? We didn't know. We never found out. But after that night, we never forgot to lock every door, and I still wonder, what would have happened if we hadn't? Story number 3, the Christmas nightmare, 5 years ago. It started out as a normal holiday season, snow, family, gifts, but something felt off. It began with my mom's boyfriend, a man we never liked, not cruel, not aggressive, just wrong, the way he moved, the way he spoke in half-mumbled phrases, the way he'd offer my wife chocolates, pop one in his own mouth, close his eyes and moan as it melted. Harmless, right? Then, Christmas came. My mom had enough. She decided to break up with him. On Christmas Eve. We stayed the night at her house, but by morning we were on our way to visit my dad for the holiday. We weren't supposed to stay, but the snow trapped us. We called my mom, but no answer. Maybe she was just busy. Maybe she was just upset. Then, the next day, as we finally drove back, my wife turned to me. "I have a bad feeling," she said. "We need to check on her." I didn't argue. Something in her voice made my skin crawl. We pulled up to my mom's house. Her car was there. But that didn't mean she was. She never locked her door, something that had always pissed me off. So, without hesitation, we stepped inside and stopped cold. The house was silent, no lights, no movement, but something was wrong. Something was horribly, sickeningly wrong. I saw it first, a thick, dark puddle on the kitchen floor. Blood, dripping, oozing, slowly, steadily, pooling beneath the refrigerator. It was coming from the water dispenser. The drip tray was full, overflowing. The dark red liquid seeping out, sliding down, staining the tile. My wife screamed. My chest went tight. My vision blurred. I knew what I was about to find. I knew what that sick bastard had done. I was about to open the freezer and see my mother's severed head staring back at me. I reached out, hands shaking, breath shallow, gripping the cold handle. One deep breath, then I yanked it open. And cherries. A goddamn bag of frozen cherries stuffed against the ice dispenser, crushed, leaking as they thawed. I collapsed onto the floor, half laughing, half sobbing. My wife was still gasping for air. And my mom? She was at work, completely fine. But that fear, that moment, I've never been able to shake it. Because for just a second I knew she was dead. And I knew exactly who had done it.